The archivists had been collecting civilizations' histories for 10,000 years. They were scholars, preservationists, and according to themselves, guardians of galactic memory. In reality, they were thieves who'd perfected the art of intellectual theft. They arrived at Earth on a Tuesday. Their diplomatic vessel descended in neutral colors, broadcasting peaceful intentions. Historian Dr. Marcus Webb met them in the United Nations building, unprepared for what they actually wanted. "We are the archivists," their leader, a tall translucent being named Velsuar, explained. "We catalog the histories of all civilizations. We would like to preserve humanity's story in our great archive." "That sounds reasonable," Marcus said cautiously. "What does that entail?" "We scan your genetic memory storage, download your historical databases, record your cultural artifacts, and preserve them in our vaults," Velsuar said smoothly. "Safe. Protected. Forever." What Velsuar didn't mention was that the archivists also erased these histories from their original worlds. They believed that centralized preservation was superior to distributed existence. Once they archived a civilization's history, they controlled the narrative. They rewrote it. They recontextualized it. They made it theirs. Marcus hesitated. Something felt wrong. "Can we think about it?" he asked. "Of course," Velsuar agreed. "We have time." But they didn't wait for an answer. That night, archivist drones infiltrated databases worldwide. They stole everything: historical records, cultural archives, genetic databases, digital libraries. They worked with precision and speed, believing humans too primitive to notice or stop them. They were wrong. Dr. Sarah Chen, a geneticist working late at her lab, noticed the intrusion in her DNA database. The pattern of the theft was unmistakable: systematic, methodical, alien. She traced it back and found the archivist vessel. By morning, every government on Earth knew. By evening, a response was being formulated. When Velsuar arrived for negotiations, he found Marcus waiting with something unexpected: a vial of human blood. "We have something you should see," Marcus said. He placed the vial into the archivist's genetic analyzer, a device they'd brought to scan human DNA for their archives. What emerged on the display shocked them. The blood contained far more than genetic code. Woven into the very structure of human DNA, in patterns that could only be interpreted through advanced analysis, was history. Not as data. Not as files. But as biological memory. Battles were encoded in the acceleration patterns of cellular mutation. Scientific breakthroughs were recorded in gene expression markers. Artistic movements showed up as harmonic frequencies in protein sequences. Love, loss, triumph, tragedy, all of it was written into the genetic language that every human inherited. "This is impossible," breathed Velsuar, watching data stream across his screen. "How did you encode your history into your very biology?" "We didn't encode it," Sarah explained, stepping forward. "That's not how it works. When humans survive traumatic events, our genes adapt. When we create art or science, it shapes our brains and those changes pass to our children. Our entire history is imprinted on us, not as stored data, but as lived experience written into our very cells." Marcus continued, "Every human carries the memory of every ancestor. Not as conscious recall, but as biological inheritance. We don't just store our history, we are our history. It lives in us. It shapes us. It defines us." Velsuar stared at the genetic data in horror. He understood now what he'd tried to steal. "You've been stealing not just information," Sarah said quietly, "but pieces of living beings. Our histories aren't meant to be archived in vaults. They're meant to be carried. Lived. Passed on." The archivist leader looked at the genetic readout showing millennia of human struggle, survival, love, and loss encoded in biological markers. He saw the record of humans learning to farm, to build, to create, to destroy, and to rebuild. He saw civilizations rising and falling, written in the language of life itself. The civilizations we've archived, Velsuar whispered, are they all like this? We don't know, Marcus said. Because you erased them. You took their histories and removed them from their worlds. But humanity? You found us too late. Our history is already distributed. It's in every person alive. You can't steal what lives in the blood of billions. Velsuar stood silently for a long time. What do you want us to do? He finally asked. Return what you stole, Sarah said. And learn something, history isn't meant to be owned or controlled. It's meant to be lived, remembered, and passed forward. The best archives aren't vaults or databases. She looked directly at Velsuar. The best archives walk around on two legs, carrying stories in their cells, their memories, and their hearts. The archivists left Earth that day, returning everything they'd stolen. But more importantly, they left changed. Velsuar spent the rest of his life studying the biological archives of species across the galaxy, understanding that the greatest preservation of history wasn't in collected data, but in living beings who carried their past within them. And on Earth, humans continued doing what they'd always done, surviving, creating, struggling, and passing their stories forward, not in databases, but in the blood of generations yet to come. History, they learned, was alive.